Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Monday. Thank you all for being here. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Durham City Hall for Mayor Leonardo Williams' first press conference as the mayor of the City of Durham. He will speak to you today about his vision and his top priorities for the city and for Durham's future. With him today are Mayor Pro Tem Mark Anthony Middleton and his special assistant. Is he here? Okay. Derek Stanfield. And we also have some grad students from Harvard Kennedy School joining him as well. And you are strategic advisor. Okay. Okay, and we see joining us now Councilmember Javier Caballero. Thank you guys for being here. Following Mayor Williams' remarks, he will open it up for questions. But I do ask that when you ask questions that you wait for the mic, okay, so that people at home and people viewing us online can hear your question as well, okay? It is my pleasure to give you the Honorable Mayor Leonardo Williams.
How's everybody doing today? I will not be too scripted, but I just wanted to make this our initial and first of many press conferences in which the office of the mayor and the council will be accessible to you, and I will hold you all as media accountable for ensuring that the public is properly informed, and look forward to our continued great relationships. Wanted to basically just be really high level today to state that this council will be taking a very equitable and holistic approach to governance. This is an opportunity for Durham to really get a lot of things done. The last 2 years, our budget speaks for itself. We were able to be quite aggressive in that budget, and now it's time to carry many of those things out. And as we prepare to carry out some of those top priorities of last year, we are about to set some new priorities, and they are going to be robust. They are going to be ambitious, but that is how we define them as being also Durham. I wanted to be. I really wanted to just break down my focus into 3 main areas: community development, economic development, and workforce development. In those 3 main areas, I do believe that we can encompass quite a bit. And while these are my initial steps to take an action, I do know that a lot of my action will encompass the conversation, desires, that are reflective of the constituency based to each council member, whether it's from trying to work on an infrastructure bond that will allow us to provide safer streets, a more connected city, and each council member will be taking on these initiatives from potentially a bond to potentially a new convention center, something that we desperately need in Durham. To really addressing our young men of color and really addressing our youth. We are going to be unapologetically aggressive in how we address these things. We know what the needs are in the city, and we are going to do what is needed to get there. We know that our city workers deserve and are in line for higher pay. We have a pay study that is coming forth very soon. We will address that as a priority in the last 2 years that we set forth to carry out now. And we are waiting on that. We know that we're going to have to do some creative and innovative things to really build our community economically, which would allow us to not only just tax people to death in meeting these goals, but also generate multiple revenue streams to bring these to reality. We've been listening to our city workers. We do have that as a top priority. We know that housing is a crisis in America. We are going to address that the Durham way. We know that when we have limited supply, that it creates housing to be more exclusive. We don't want that. We want housing to be a human right, and as close as we can get to that in Durham, then that's what we're going to do. We have several agencies across the city that are working tirelessly to make this community a better place. We want to make sure that we are utilizing those relationships effectively, from the Do It in Durham campaign over at Discover Durham, drawing people from all over the nation here, all the way to just the small startups that we have here, creating opportunity for our youth, and all of the jobs that we have here, creating opportunities for our youth to not only grow here, but also be employed here, start their businesses here, and just have a great life here. So my main three focuses will be community development, workforce development, and economic development. There are a lot of initiatives that we're going to be taking on, but these are the three main focus points that I'm going to take initiative with and I'll address a lot of the accomplishments that we have already obtained or will be obtaining in the very near future in the state of the city. That will be a little different this year. It will not be in a traditional city council meeting. It will be a separate event. It's going to be lively, it's going to be entertaining, we're going to have fun, we're going to really celebrate what Durham has done and what is to come in this city with our amazing staff, our amazing council members that are reflective and a representation of our community. And Durham is dope, and we're going to make sure it stays that way. So, really high level, but I just wanted to have this as the first opportunity to be before you and answer any questions that you may have. Also, at 12:30, you should have, if not sooner, more specifics in the points that I'll be focusing on in your emails, in your inbox. And we also have paper copies of that if you would like that today as well. And I want to thank my team here. I have my transition team from Harvard here, Mary, Justin, and Twan. I have a close friend and advisor here, Gerardo Serrano. I have my Chief of Staff Special Assistant to the Mayor, Derek Stanfield. I have Councilmember Caballero here, who's going to be really helping us in significant policy work, and my Mayor Pro Tem, Mark Anthony Middleton. This is my team with the rest of the council, and we're going to get a lot done this year, working with our staff who are beyond capable. All right.
Good afternoon, Mayor Williams, Dewan Hogarth, WTVD. Obviously, with your plan, it will likely be met with some resistance by some of the members that you sit next to. How do you plan to address some of that resistance with the plan that you've laid out today?
Yeah, so, politics is politics, and there may be resistance, but what that means is there's democracy. And, my goal is to have no surprises. I think it's very clear. Councilmember Caballero and I, we don't necessarily agree on everything, but we work great together. And I think that's a prime example of how, it just shows the myriad of views and viewpoints across the city. But, it's not about us as individual council members, it's about the community. So really, it's all about communication. You won't hear us hash that out in public. You won't hear that happen up on the dais. You'll hear us actually working together toward the solutions at that point. My administration, no surprises.
Hello, it's
Hello.
Mary Helen with the News Observer. Can you just talk about what you mean by community economic workforce development? What are those terms? Can you put them in context of what you're trying to do?
Absolutely. So basically, when it comes to community development, it's all about enhancing safety and mobility. It's all about connecting our city and ensuring that we're doing it safely, that we're getting access to those opportunities before us. To be specific, I'm basically committed to enhancing the safety and mobility of all residents of Durham. I want to be inclusive and ensure that the inclusivity is prosperous throughout the city. And that goes from saving lives to providing an enriched quality of life for every resident of the city. And I plan to do this by making sure that our government is responsive, that is equitable, and that is taking this holistic approach to meet the needs of every resident of Durham. When it comes to, let's say, economic development, we all know Durham. As we say downtown Durham, we want to make sure downtown is good, but Durham is so much bigger than downtown, and we have so many communities that are hungry for opportunity. I'll take East Durham, for example. We may need to look at the zoning designation in certain communities. We may need to make changes so that they can thrive. I know for a fact that East Durham, Andrew and Driver, there are lots of tenants over there, there are lots of residents, but there are also a lot of small businesses. They are looking to grow, they're looking to thrive, and that could be a district of the city that is thriving, and that's how you build community, and that's by way of economic development, so just making sure that specifically, in addition to continuing to champion the revitalization of downtown Durham as the city's economic engine, economic core, also focusing on expanding economic viability throughout neighborhoods citywide, and also I'm committed to forging Durham as the Triangle's epicenter of opportunity. We have a great opportunity to do that. Raleigh is cool. Morrisville, Cary, all of those areas are fine, but Durham is dope. Durham is the best place to live in the area. We have the greatest opportunities, and I want to make sure that the public knows that. And we're going to make sure that we're doing our part to market and to talk about our wins, to talk about the grants that we're getting to, really build up our community. All of the grants we're getting from transit to, just streetscapes, the investments that this council has made. So there's a lot of opportunity that we haven't been taking advantage of, and I want to make sure that we do just that. And when it comes to workforce development, just not long ago, we had about 27,000 job vacancies in the city when it comes to private. In the city alone, we had about 400 and something. And I mean, look at our police department right now. It's significantly underwhelmed when it comes to staffing. We have opportunities. It's up to us to ensure that people know about those opportunities. And it's also, when you think about what's happening with our youth, I'm a former educator. And once you're a teacher, you're always a teacher. And one thing I can tell you back then, as a matter of fact, we have Councilmember Caballero's a teacher, one thing I can tell you is if our youth are not occupied, if their time is not occupied, they're going to get bored. And when kids getting bored, that is the most dangerous thing that you could ever have in your hands. So my goal is to work with my colleagues to ensure that opportunities are present to our youth at a much earlier age. So when we talk about a citywide apprenticeship program, we're talking about getting kids at the age of 16 engaged a lot earlier. When it comes to the Youth Works program, getting kids even younger to be engaged and making sure that their time is spent. And that's scaling from just the summer to citywide, year-round. We have so many job opportunities in the area, and we got to make sure that we're developing our youth and developing our people who are jobless right now to take advantage or get access to any skills building programs or initiatives that are available to ensure that they are viable to take advantage of those jobs that are before them. Durham has the opportunities. We have the people. We have to bridge the gap to create that opportunity and access. So that's sort of specifically at a high level how I plan to address a lot of our issues through those three main areas.
And of these three areas of development, it will be larger than the work of the 7 people there behind you. Who else are you relying on to get this work done? And have you had any conversation with those people or those organizations yet? And what are they saying to you?
Yeah, so I definitely didn't start this work yesterday. So what we're going to do is we have stakeholders all over the city, and I think it's very clear we don't have we don't have the most robust relationship yet with the RTP and our corporate community. There's so much opportunity in that. I know for a fact we can get more out of Duke because Duke wants to get more engaged with us. NC Central wants to get more engaged with us. We have so many corporate companies. We have small businesses. I know I have a small business and I'm looking to hire people. Those relationships are the mechanism in which we're going to create access and opportunity. But more specifically to your question, the 7 of us on this, soon to be 7, hopefully, of us on this council, on this dais, our job is to facilitate policy that will serve as a catalyst of opportunity and relationships across the entire triangle court right here in Durham. So we have stakeholders endlessly, and it's up to us to make sure that we build those relationships. The most effective thing I can do as mayor is not only take advantage of the bully pulpit, but the power to convene, the power to build bridges by way of relationships. And I plan to do just that. And usually that's the part that's missing when it comes to creating opportunity and creating access. We have to sit down, we have to understand what we have to offer as stakeholders in this community. And once we identify what we have to offer, we then build that relationship. Before I got down here today, I just had a meeting with United Way. you know, a very committed organization to this type of work. They're ready to work. United Way is just one organization. You know, we have an eyeglass company, optometrist who wants to make sure youth have actual eyeglasses to make sure that they can see in school or see in whatever they're doing in their community or in their household. I used to be the chair at the North Carolina Foundation for Public School Children. We removed red tape so opportunities can be given to public school children in the very moment. If you need glasses, you need your AP exam paid for, you need to get a field trip supported, we can do those things. There are so many relationships that we have to take advantage of. So not everything requires a vote, not everything requires to be a policy, but everything does require a relationship to be built.
Hi, Mary Williams, Monica Casey, WRAL. Can you talk a little bit about how the issue of crime fits into your priorities in each of these three categories you have here?
Thank you for that question. Usually we're talking about crime as if it's just a thing. You know, crime is a result. It's a symptom of other systems not, you know, effectively performing. So when I address these three issues, housing security is a crime issue. You know, access to, you know, opportunities such as jobs is a crime issue. Ensuring that, you know, you know, someone who's born in this community or someone who's moved to this community wants to better themselves, that's a crime issue. So you won't hear me ever say, I'm gonna stop gun violence. You're not gonna hear me ever say, I'm gonna stop crime, although I want those things to happen. I also realize that human behavior responds to environments, circumstances, or conditions that promote it to do certain things. And so my goal is to address the root causes. Some time ago, we talked about 1,000 black men, and you know, and then it sort of went dormant. We went dormant because there were so many mentoring groups that came out and said, hey, we're here. You don't need to recreate the wheel. Great. But then we also later realized the gap that was there was there were mentoring organizations working in isolation. So we're going to revisit that and say, listen, what's missing is a consistent marching orders. Like, what do we do now? Yeah, you're doing your type of mentoring organization, but what are we doing collectively? Where's the tenacity? And so now we get to revisit something like that and actually, you know, work with these organizations together, help them get access to funding, making sure that they are at a very high level occupying every youth's time in this entire city. That's a crime issue. So my goal is to ensure that people aren't resorting to crime or criminal behavior. My goal is to make sure that they're somewhere in the after-school program, somewhere getting resume building skill sets, somewhere you know, learning soft skills, somewhere learning how to cook. You know, like there are so many things that we could do that are, you know, if we don't do, they become a crime issue.
Mary Helen again. So are y'all be submitting your budget priorities at the end of this week? Do you have that list ready? What's on it? How have you gone about developing those priorities?
That'll be ready on the 12th.
Is the Office of Survivor Care anywhere on your list yet, or?
The Office of Survival Care, I do know, is a priority of many council members, but we won't submit those until the actual 12th.
Okay.
I just don't want to get ahead of any council. I don't have my whole council here, and I want to make sure that we're speaking about those priorities in the appropriate setting before getting ahead of anyone putting it out there. But I do know that that is of interest to many council members, if not all, actually.
Hi, Mia Khatib from the Triangle Tribune. Can you talk a little bit more about your vision for affordable housing as well as increasing home ownership opportunities for lower income residents here in Durham?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. It's good to see you again. I really appreciate that question because affordable housing might be the most misunderstood reality in our city. Whenever we build new housing, people say, well, it's not for the poor, or you know, you're not building enough for, you know, someone else that may not be able to afford what's coming downtown. You know, at the end of the day, we have to ensure that we're increasing supply. I talked about this earlier. If you don't have enough supply, then it becomes a supply and demand issue. So, and also, just because there's someone building a tower downtown doesn't mean that it's kicking someone else out in the rural area or a suburban area. We overall have to increase supply. One, we have to increase supply at every single level. Two, we have to ensure that we're not only talking about structures being built, and also, by the way, affordable housing does not mean a cheap structure. I think the federal government screwed that up when they built public housing or did it wrong. What we have to do is ensure that we're not only building supply, but also in all the opportunities to help you obtain housing. We have to address the subjectivity of affordability. Affordable to whom? So if I make $30,000 a year, I can't afford a $500,000 home. But if I make $30,000 a year and I'm working to get access to, a home that I can own, and therefore I need to take advantage of opportunities provided for me. So we have the Bulls Initiative. We have the citywide apprenticeship program that's going to be coming on board. We have jobs that are available, and we have opportunities like, at Durham Tech that we can take advantage of to help you enhance yourself. So now you may even, let's say you go to Durham Tech, you take advantage of their electrician apprenticeship program. You're coming out making six figures. Now you can afford a home a lot better than you could before. So affordable housing means taking advantage of the opportunities to help you attain that, make that home more attainable. And that home could be whether it's a luxury apartment, it could be a single family home, it could be wherever your income meets it. But affordable housing, in order to address it, you have to pull several levers to get access to whatever that place you want to live. But it does not, and I repeat, and I'm going to say this to folks who keep misquoting this, it does not mean building a cheap structure. We do not want to have cheap structures to where people are living like animals in this city. So we're going to do everything we possibly can to ensure that people have a decent quality of life, a place to live, and we're going to make sure that they can afford it, because we're going to create opportunities for them to be able to afford it. But it does require the individual to do something as well. And there are several people trying, and we need to make sure anyone who's trying, we're creating opportunity for them. Okay.
Hey, sorry, Ben Boken, CBS 17.
Hello.
In the absence of ShotSpotter, with just a tremendous shortage of officers at the police department, how do you plan to tackle, those things when it comes to law enforcement and crime prevention, actually out in the field, in a boots on the ground way? I know we talk a lot about making sure our youth are occupied, but and have something to do. But in terms of actual officers, crime prevention, when it comes to a law enforcement perspective, how do you plan to tackle that?
Absolutely. At a very high level, I would love for Durham to be the most progressive town in North Carolina when it comes to public safety. In order to do that, it means that we have to come together as a council. We have to get on the same page about how that's going to happen. We're not always going to agree, but we will always work together. Let me just take a moment to highlight what's happened since December 4th. Every council member talks to each other on a daily basis. We are working together. No, we don't always agree on everything when it comes to policy, but one thing we do agree on is being solution-oriented, and that is a delight to have. So that's my kudos to this council. It's been a pleasure to work with them, and I'm sure we're going to continue working. Specifically to ShotSpotter, we did not agree on the actual contract extension. The funds are already allocated. Those funds can't be sent somewhere else. We had a difference of opinion. That's perfectly fine. We will address it again in March, and at that time when we have the data before us, we'll make that decision again, and whatever comes of it, it comes of it. I know that we're going to have several conversations around it. But I just want folks to realize that policymakers don't always agree. And I'm sorry to keep picking on Councilmember Caballero. She and I didn't agree on this, but she's standing here with me today. That's democracy at work. And that is Durham's leaders at work. Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, we mostly agree on things. Do you think we always agree behind the scenes? No. That is democracy at work. So we have the resources, we have the hands, we have the people to make sure that we are working on behalf of the residents of Durham to have the best outcome that we possibly can. And that's something we haven't had in a while, and I'm looking forward to carrying this year out just that way. All right. I really appreciate, okay. I really appreciate you all being here. I know this is a little different, but get used to it. Thank you.